Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Rachel.
I'm Hannah.
And this is the You Talkin to Me podcast. Today we are reviewing the book and movie Let It Snow. And I say we're reviewing the book this time because I got opinions on the book more so than the movie. So just be prepared for that. Hannah, let us know what the recap is.
Okay, but first I have to say, if you are watching on video, you got to see me throw up some finger guns when Rachel did the intro. That's me being me. Okay, here we go. Let It Snow is a Netflix original movie that is based off of the book with the same title. The movie loosely follows the book, which was written by 3 authors. The movie and book alike follow stories that take you through a snow day in the lives of different people. How can one snowy day change your life?
All right, so both Hannah and I, for the final movie and book podcast of August, we both read the book and watched the movie. So we are doing our opinions based on that. We both know the differences. We both have feelings and whatnot. But what would you say you liked better, Hannah?
I think this is when our hot takes are going to come in, where Rachel and I are going to be polar opposites. Okay, but here's the thing. My opinion changed after watching the movie a second time. The first time I watched the movie, I think I would have said I liked the movie better. Maybe. However, after watching it a second time, I definitely like the book more. Okay. And Rachel?
Here's the thing. I have so many complaints about both. But I liked the first story in Let It Snow. And that one follows Julie and Stuart in the book and the people in the movie. Then the second one made me want to jump off of the top of the Waffle House. And that's Tobin and the Duke. And then the last one is Addie and Jeb. And that one was fine. That was fine, whatever. But here's the thing. So I liked the first story better than any part of the movie. And I liked a lot of the third story, but the movie was good and made a lot of the stuff make a little bit more sense, but they changed so much of the book. It's basically like the same characters' names is like the main thing that stays the same. And so I can't really like compare them too well, but I did like the movie probably overall better, but I still have some of the similar complaints.
I'm trying to think of the Duke and Tobin in the book. And I feel like I liked that story, but it also, like, I like the way John Green writes. Is that the one where the plastic bags were being worn on feet and hands or something?
No, that was the first one. So
Okay.
the Tobin and Duke story. Should we do it right away or should we save it?
I guess let's save it for last. So let's jump into Julie and Stuart. I guess that one was my favorite in the book and I guess in the movie as well.
Yeah, I think they're drastically different and we'll go through the differences. But I thought both of them were pretty well done. There's like one section of the book of that story that I was like, this is going too long, but other than that. So in the book, Julie, whose real name is Jubilee, her parents love this like Christmas village set that they get the new pieces every year. Well, in the story, the parents get arrested because they like are part of this like big fight in the door. It's like a Black Friday sale basically, but like on Christmas Eve or the day before Christmas Eve or something. And so the parents get arrested, and Jubilee, who goes by Julie when she's embarrassed by her name, is sent on a train. It takes place in like North Carolina. Is sent on a train to go to her grandparents' house in Florida, I believe. And she gets caught in this snowstorm, which is so unusual for the area. Like it's literally snowing and snowing and snowing. It's not like 2 inches and it's bad for North Carolina. It's like feet of snow. Like the train literally gets stuck. She meets this guy, Jeb, on the train who is trying to like win his girlfriend back, and we'll meet him later. And there's a bunch of cheerleaders on the train as well, and they're annoying. So basically, Julie decides to walk across like the interstate that's next to the train to the Waffle House. It's like the only place that's open because Waffle Houses literally can withstand a hurricane, an apocalypse, the world literally exploding. And she goes there, and like Jeb followed at some point. All the cheerleaders followed. They're like, we're not staying on this freaking train because it's literally gonna be stuck there for days. Like they literally could not get it out. She goes there, and she meets this guy who had also recently walked there, I guess, named Stuart, and he works at a Target, and he literally, like, to insulate himself, had like Target bags like on his head, on his hands, in his jacket. And I'm like, that's creative. Like, I would never thought of that, but also super embarrassing. So maybe I just care. But I also wasn't walking like a mile in freezing cold weather. The farthest I ever have to go is like across campus. So they meet up and they kind of talk, and they like get along just fine. And he's like, well, why don't you, because you don't have anywhere to go, like come to my house for Christmas then, and you can spend the night there with my family. And it's very sweet. And like, does she, like, she doesn't want to at first, right? Because she's like weirded out, but he's like, you can't spend the night in a Waffle House or something. So they go on this like lengthy adventure because his car stalled out or something, like needed a tow. And so he doesn't have a vehicle. And so, and no one else's car is going to make it through the storm. They walk like a couple miles. It was like a 45-minute walk or something in the cold. So like it was a couple miles, whereas like a lot of people can walk under 20 minutes for a mile, and they definitely couldn't have with the wind going right at them. But she like falls into a like lake or a river or a stream at some point, and like they have to like get her out. Like she's not going to die or anything, but like the ice breaks and it's freezing cold. And so like they get out of that, and they like have to go through the woods and all of this stuff, and they're like talking the whole time and like sharing their lives. And she basically lets them know that she has like this dick boyfriend, but she doesn't know that he's a dick yet because she's like in love with him. He's like the popular kid at school, and she's not that popular, but she's like fine. And she was supposed to go to like his Christmas party, which was like their anniversary, but she couldn't go. And she like kept trying to call him throughout the day, and he was like too busy setting up and too busy like going to the party, the like big smorgasbord or whatever they called it. I don't even know what they called it. It was like a weird name. And he was like, you know, that's really weird. Like, why didn't they want to talk to you? And finally, like when she gets back to the house, like they make it finally. And the mom is very sweet. They have a little sister named Rachel, I think, which I was like, that's me. And she's very cute and silly. And finally, like she calls when she gets back to his house and is like, I was trying to tell him, like, I fell in a lake. I like had to go through miles in the woods. Like I got stuck. My train isn't going to make it. Like all these things that if you're a good partner in a relationship, you should be like, holy crap. Oh, I'm so sorry. But he like was like, I don't have time to talk to you right now. What? I'm sorry. I don't care if you have time. I don't care if like your mom needs help in the kitchen. I don't care if like the president of the United States is like interviewing you to be his like right-hand man. Like, bitch, your girlfriend is like in distress. And she's at some guy's house. Maybe like that could have gotten him a little jealous, but he obviously didn't care. And so that annoyed me. But the story was really good because like they connected really well, Stuart and Julie. And he actually like knew about her parents like getting arrested, and that was like really funny and whatnot. And I don't remember the conflict. Like there was something that like they, oh, he finally like just told her like, you have a stupid boyfriend, you should break up with him or something. And I think she got mad at him, but then realized he was right and like called her boyfriend, who I literally don't even know his name, and just like told him off and was like, you're the worst, like you don't even care, like all you care about is yourself and like going to college or something, I don't know. And they broke up, and then she like kisses Stuart or something. It's very cute and I loved it, and that's all I remember now. But I thought that was the cutest story because they earned the little pieces along the way. It wasn't just like, you have a stupid boyfriend, love me, you know, like it was good.
At the beginning of that, you said Julie and Tobin, but we'll know that it's Stuart. The difference for then the movie is we're on this same train, and Julie picks up this phone that someone dropped, and she's giving it back to him, and he turns around and he's like, oh please, I'm just trying to hide, or no pictures or something like that. And it's Stuart, because Stuart is this famous singer, and she's like, I'm giving you your phone back. Like, she could care less. And her mom, though, she sits down next to her mom, and her mom's like, is that Stuart blah blah blah, whatever his name is?
Oh, that's not her mom, I don't think. I think it's just a random lady.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Her mom looks different, but I don't know why she's on the train. That part was never established.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I think she's just trying to get into town, maybe, or something, and she was just taking public transport. So it was not her mom, but the lady she was sitting next to was like, oh, la la, and she's like, no, I don't care. But then, well, I guess before she sits down, though, the train starts to move, and she literally like slams into Stuart. She's like, that was the train, like, I don't care. And then for some reason they decide to get off and go to a Waffle House too, because the train's stuck or something as well. And so Stuart and Julie make their way to Waffle House, and at Waffle House you're introduced, I mean, the storylines are all kind of connected in different ways, but I don't remember the cheerleaders being on the train in the movie. They do come to the Waffle House. And at the Waffle House, there's a guy named Keon that works there, and he's trying to throw a party, and everyone eventually will end up at this Waffle House. Like, everything kind of happens at the Waffle House. But Julie and Stuart in the movie then go on, I guess, a day of adventure, and I guess they go sledding, and he just gets a sled from these young moms, and they're like all freaking out about him, and then they go sledding, and then she's about to get hit by a car in the road, and he tackles her to save her, and she basically just shares her life story with him and tells him that she's having a hard time because her mom's sick, and she feels like she needs to take care of her mom, but she just got into Columbia, and she really wants to go there and go to college, and she has a scholarship to do it, but once again, she feels like she needs to stay home to take care of her sick mom. And if she takes a year off, she won't be able to have her scholarship anymore. And at one point, he just like literally says, I'll pay for you or I'll pay for your mom for
A nurse,
a
yeah.
nurse healthcare or home care, basically, so that you can go to college because you should be able to do that.
She gets like
And
so mad about that too, which I understand. Like, she was super defensive and being like, I'm not some charity case. You can't just come to my small town and pay for it.
yeah, she does get very defensive over it. And then she also, at one point, is talking to her mom about the fact that she got into college. And her mom's like, well, you have to go. And she's like, well, no, I need to stay and take care of you. And her mom's like, you're just going to make that decision on your own. Like, I'm not part of it. And she's like, yep. And then her mom also said that the dad would take care of her. And the dad is like, probably 80s, 90s. He's old and probably shouldn't be taking care of a sick person. And Julie's just like, what, like, you're gonna take care of each other? Like, that's not gonna work out. And Stuart's manager or publicist or someone comes to Julie's house when Stuart is there, and Stuart is in her grandpa's clothes, Julie's grandpa's clothes, because he got wet from sledding, and so he's like in an old man outfit. And the publicist is like mad and is like, what are you wearing? Like, you don't look cool. And then he goes and changes into his own clothes, and while he's changing, the publicist tells Julie basically like, he doesn't actually like you. Nothing that happened today was real. You can't tell anyone about this. And after he leaves this house, you'll never see him again. Well, plot twist, he ends up at the party that Julie goes to, which is at the Waffle House, and they kiss, and then she and he start talking about like how he's gonna come visit her at Columbia. And I mean, their storyline's cute. And I like the fact that when she meets Stuart, she is like, ew, like, I don't like your music. And at one point, it literally says, at the beginning of the day, I really hated this song, and now I kind of, and then he comes in and he's like, you kind of love it now. And that's when they see each other at the party. So I thought that was cute.
Yeah, I actually liked the changes and thought that it actually made more sense. Like her dilemma, rather than like, oh, I have a boyfriend who sucks. Like that's like a real dilemma, but like this felt more real because teenagers are more than just like having stupid boyfriends and wanting to see cheerleaders and stuff, which we'll talk about in a different storyline. But it just felt like the writers here really took it into consideration of like giving them real desires and real problems and stuff like that, which I really liked. And as much as I literally freaking hate music in movies, and each of the storylines I feel like had freaking music in it, and he didn't need to be a famous singer. I don't know, he could have been an actor and I would have like liked it way better. But I thought it was kind of weird that he was famous, but it was cute. Like everyone, like it's like fan fiction basically with a fake singer. Like, so I think it was a
I
cute.
also like, oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, I also like though how they go into that life of being famous and how everyone thinks, being famous is this big shiny thing where it's like your ticket to happiness. And I suppose you would be successful if you're famous. I guess not always, probably though. Um, and he's saying like something about spending Christmas at a hotel, and then he says, like, what if that's my only option because I don't have family or like I don't have anyone to be with or anywhere to go. That's my life. And he's basically saying like his life is, he just kind of wants to escape his life because it's all like, oh, you have to wear this, you have to do that. Like the publicist is telling him how to be. And he probably does like it some of the time, but all the time having to be like this on personality of like, oh, this is who I am, and I have to wear these clothes for these people and do these things because that's what people like. That would be a lot and draining. So I like the fact that they also covered that aspect. And very opposite of what you said about music, I literally wrote down they have good music in this movie. So I liked the music in the
Well,
movie.
I liked his song, but I hate like when characters like sing in movies. That's like what I mean.
Okay. I can feel that.
All right, do you want to talk
Mm.
about the book version of the last book with Addie and Jeb?
Okay, so they're Addie is going to Starbucks to get coffee on this very sunny day, but she works at Starbucks. Yeah, she works there. And who comes in though to get coffee? Because there's someone else. The storylines all intertwine.
Later, like at the end, Tobin and the Duke show up.
Okay, but Addie works at this Starbucks and she is trying to figure out what she wants to do. Well, she also has a boyfriend situation, right?
Yeah, so she, I think, cheated on Jeb. Like she was making out with
Oh
somebody.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
he needed
she
time to like decide if he wanted to like get back together with her or not. Which I don't know.
yeah.
Don't? I don't know.
Yeah. I guess I don't remember much from that storyline because then I'm just thinking of the Duke and Tobin coming in, and that was like their first date was at the Starbucks.
I don't know. I'll run through just what I remember is that she has these two friends, like Dory and somebody else, but I don't remember the other person's name. But I think Dory really wants like a little teacup pig for Christmas. Like that's like the only thing she's ever wanted. And Addie and the other friend like got her one. Um and it like came to their town, like they shipped it to their town or something, and she had to get it right when it opened, which she could take her break at 9 or something at the Starbucks and go get it. Well, like all of this stuff happens and I don't remember a lot of it, but like oh, like her ex-boyfriend or something, this other guy, yeah, shows up and like is gonna give her a ride or something happens. It was dumb, but basically I liked the message, and it was like she thinks about herself more than what she thinks about what other people want or care about. And when she doesn't get the pig, Oh, there's this old lady. Do you remember the old lady? Anyway.
Yeah, I remember the old lady now, but I don't remember. Does she have cancer or something? She's like an angel.
Yeah,
Remember
okay.
that?
I remember this whole, so right before she's going to on the break, this old lady shows up with this like group of old people and they're all getting coffee, and this one lady like is trying to ask her like questions or tell her about her life and just blah blah blah, like just being sweet, and somehow like found out that Addie was supposed to go get this pig from across the street or something. And so by the time Addie finally like is reminded to go get the pig, because I think her friend calls her or is like, we're on our way to get the pig, and she's like, crap, I didn't get the pig. She goes to the store, and the guy's like, who she like has a brawl with or something, I don't know, like they don't like each other, is like, oh, someone already bought it, and they're like, it literally said don't sell to anyone but my friend or whatever. And he's like, oops, sorry, I didn't see that. And so she finds out somehow like by credit card number or name or something that it was the old lady, and found out where she lived somehow because like some her like ex-boyfriend or something like drove her, which it was like 3 blocks away, which was really funny. And then she gets it, but like is taught a lesson like through, she's like, I'm a guardian angel or something, I don't know. And then she gets the pig just in time for her friends to like show up, and like, but basically she was told like you only care about yourself and stuff by her friend, and that's what made her like go over there and like beg to get a ride to like go get him or go get the pig and stuff. And then I don't know why she and Jeb make up, like it probably makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't remember why they make up either. Um, but in the movie, Addie is best friends with Dory, and Dory, though, is buying Addie a pig. So that is reversed because Dory, it starts off with Dory being like, oh, I want this pig. And it does end up where Addie buys the pig for Dory. But the whole storyline was that Dory was going to buy Addie this pig. And she's taking Addie to this pig store in the beginning, or pet store in the beginning, to show her what she's getting her. And it's this little teacup pig, or I think that's probably what it's called, a teacup pig. And Addie the whole way is just talking about Jeb and obsessing over Jeb. And she's like, oh, he liked this girl's picture and she commented on it. He's never once liked the picture I posted with him. And just like being so obsessive over that. And then one of them says something, they cross the line, and Addie gets out of the car and is like, I'm going to walk to Jeb's house. He lives a block from here or whatever. And Dory's like, by the way, that's what I was going to show you. And then Addie turns around and sees this teacup pig, and she's like, oh. But then she goes to Jeb's house, and his little sister's outside, and she's like, oh, where's Jeb? And she's like, a girl picked him up. So she's just like being obsessive over Jeb and trying to find out where he is and if he's with this girl. And this woman called the tinfoil lady is driving around and sees Addie, and Addie's like looking for a ride because she's in the middle of nowhere and she wants to get to the Waffle House. And this lady picks her up and she's like, aren't you scared I'm gonna murder you? And she's like, I have my phone with me. And she's like, if you hurt me, like people will know where you're at. And she's like, yeah, but what good would that do if I murder you? And then eventually she throws her phone out the window. The tinfoil lady throws Addie's phone out the window. And I was like, what? But I think this storyline was beneficial to have the tinfoil lady in here because she kind of teaches you to not judge someone by what they do or how they look, and judge someone by their character and what they do for you, or how they help you, or how they help others. And so Addie makes it to the Waffle House because of this lady. Oh, and the tinfoil lady actually is the one narrating the whole film. And she's talking about like what can happen in a snow day and how snow changes things. And Addie gets to the Waffle House and Jeb's there with this girl, and then she throws a milkshake on Jeb. And I was like, yes, this is great. And I don't know why she leaves. I think she just storms out of there. But
Well, Dory like talks to her and is like, do you realize like your actions affect other people and stuff like that? You know, like, I mean, she basically like has to clean that up, or like it also like makes her look bad because she's friends with someone who's like acting like a psycho or whatever. But apparently it's like reversed. So like all of the stories are kind of reversed in a way with how they tell the story. Also, like you live in a small freaking town and you don't think someone's gonna talk when they see you like at the Waffle House, like kind of hanging real close to some other girl and not texting your girlfriend back? Like he wasn't even texting her back. And she didn't cheat in this story, like in the movie. She's just kind of a jerk, I guess. You know? Like she is still selfish. And she's not, I don't know who teaches her the lesson, but like someone else teaches her the lesson then. But
It's
I
a
maybe,
tinfoil lady.
oh yeah, instead of Dory like chewing her out, or the other friend or whatever.
Yeah, and so Dory works at the Waffle House. So Dory works at the Waffle House. This guy named Keon works at the Waffle House. This manager guy works at the Waffle House, and Keon is really good friends with Tobin and the Duke. And that's like how everyone's story gets connected. But the difference, though, the main big difference about these storylines, the Addie and Dory storyline, I guess, is that Dory in the movie is gay, and she really likes this one cheerleader. And so the cheerleader and Dory were alone before, and when they were alone, Dory, I mean, whatever the cheerleader's name was, do you know what it was? Dory, who likes Carrie. Carrie was super into it and like all over it, and they both agree that it was like the best time ever. But then when she's with all these cheerleaders and Dory goes up there, I mean, granted, she's being very awkward. Like she tells this soap story about a horse, and she's like, my soap had a horse in it and it made me think of you. And she's like, well, not like of you in the shower, but like and then she's like, not in a childish way, I don't have toys in my shower. And then it was like so awkward but funny, because it's like one of those scenarios where you just like keep putting your foot in your mouth and you're like, this tastes great. um but when she's around these cheerleaders, she's acting like snotty and snarky kind of, and like, who are you? And then she goes to the bathroom and Dory goes in there, and Dory's like, I thought when we were together something something something. And then Carrie just starts making out with her, and then the cheerleader comes in and they like pull apart and Carrie leaves, and then Dory's like getting whiplash over here and is like, what's going on? And then eventually they talk outside, and Carrie's like, I think you're the coolest, most brave person ever, and I want to be like you. You're out to your family. Like, I'm not out to anyone. And Dory's like, yeah, but you told me you were, and you told me your story. And Carrie's like, yeah, because I want that to be true. And I told you that story because it's based off of yours, but I haven't told anyone. No one knows. And then eventually they start kissing outside, and then all the cheerleaders like get in the window behind them, and they're like, yeah. Which, that storyline I liked more the first time I watched it versus the second time, because I still think that Carrie was being a real jerk.
Yeah, I was saying the same thing. I was like, I hope that kiss at the beginning in the bathroom like doesn't fix how she was like acting towards her and stuff, because she wasn't even being like polite to Dory. She was like being like a mean customer too, like just in general. It's like, this person is your age and working. Like, give her some slack. Like, she is working a terrible job. She is a waitress at Waffle House.
But Addie's like super supportive of Dory the whole time. And she's like, she doesn't see how amazing you are. Like, she doesn't deserve you. You're my best friend ever. You're the best person in the world. You're my favorite person ever. That's kind of how those three storylines get together. But then we have to go to Tobin and the Duke, or her name's Angie. Do you want to jump into the book version, I guess, first?
Yes. This is the worst book I've ever read in my whole life, because John Green is known for great writing, great depictions. Yes, sometimes they're like over dramatic and like over romanticized, but very great depictions of teenage love and just teenagers in general. And for some freaking reason, he dropped the ball so far down that it doesn't even exist anymore. Okay, this storyline starts off with, I don't even know, I think, is it Keon is the friend here? or is it there's like 2 Asian characters in the book, and they had very similar names, I feel like. But it's the one friend and Tobin and the Duke. And they're gonna have like a James Bond movie marathon, okay? And the Duke is just one of the guys, you know, like, and the reason she got the name the Duke in the book is because there's this like weird gas station and they call you like Duke or Duchess or something, like instead of sir and ma'am, and she accidentally got called Duke, and so it just stuck. Okay, it's funny, whatever. Anyway, one of them like gets a call from the manager at, which is like their age, their friend at the Waffle House, and it's like, bro, there's some cheerleaders here. You gotta get here right now. And they're like, yeah, we totally do. In this freaking snowstorm that could kill us, we'll go see some cheerleaders. Why not? So they decide, they like rev up the car, and it like barely starts, and they have to go up like this huge hill, and they're like trying really hard, and they like don't make it, and it literally slides so terrifyingly back. Like they end up in someone's yard, and they're like, holy crap, we almost died. Maybe we should go back. No, let's try again to go see some cheerleaders. That's a good idea. So they finally make it up this time, and I don't know why they decide to keep going. But then like I don't even know how the Reston brothers are in this book. I don't remember, but they're like trying to beat them to the cheerleaders, because apparently there's only enough cheerleaders for like 2 more guys. So like, oh god, they won't just like choose which guy they like better, and they're just there to like be fondled over and all this stuff. Apparently, I don't know, they're on a rush to get there before the Reston brothers. Okay, so they're like zooming along and all this stuff, and finally like they like crash the car into a snowbank at some point because it won't turn on the icy AF road. And so they like are trying to like track down some people, and the Reston brothers show up or something, and like they like have to run. I don't even know. I don't remember the Reston brothers, so we'll just ignore them for now. But they're like were jerks and like wouldn't give them a ride or a tow or anything. But anyway, they also had to bring Twister, okay? That was one of the requests, is that they had to bring Twister. So in the midst of this crash that literally one of the freaking tires falls off, they decide, oh, it's only like 2 miles away. We'll walk in frostbite conditions to the Waffle House. That's still fine. It's still totally worth it. And so they start walking, and they get a call after 20 minutes of walking. They had to go like the long way to avoid the freaking Reston brothers. They like set up some trap or something for them. And they're like, I know they're going to be pissed, so we can't go that way. And so they're walking like the long way to the Waffle House. And they get a call, and they're like, dude, you better get here soon because the college guys are on their way. And I'm like, who the hell? These college guys are here to see some high school cheerleaders? That's disgusting. You know what? Like, call the cops and have them arrest them when they show up. And they're like, okay, we're on our way. And he's like, you brought Twister, right? And they're like, frick, we forgot Twister in the car 20 minutes away. And he's like, no, you have to go back and get it. And they're like, yeah, that makes sense. We'll go back and get it. Add another 40 freaking minutes to their walk. They're literally going to die. No, that makes sense. This is all worth it for some cheerleaders that we don't know. You don't even know them. They're just like strangers. Okay. And so they get Twister, and they finally make it to the Waffle House. And they don't even want to play Twister. It was just this sick, freaking gross man's thing of like, I want to see these cheerleaders, you know, oh, stretch and bend in front of me while we're playing Twister. Like, ew. Shoot this man on sight. Ew, like, this is a gross boy. Like, what the frick? And finally, like, this whole time, Tobin's coming to terms with the fact that he's in love with Angie, okay? And he, like, needs to, the Duke, who, like, he needs to tell her, whatever. But she, like, brings up the fact that she's going to the dance with some other guy because he asked her. And, like, she doesn't, like him that way. But she's like, he's nice enough. Why not? I want to go to the dance, and it's better to have a date than not. And you didn't ask me, so I'm not going to go with you. So when he gets there, he's like, well, I'm going to make her jealous and talk to this cheerleader. And I'm like, okay, they're in middle school. I'll let this slide. But I was like, you're a child. Like, that's the stupidest way to get someone to like you by making them jealous. Like, ew.
High school, not middle school.
Yeah, they're in high school, but they're acting like middle schoolers. Sorry. But I'm like, that's stupid. But finally, she like gets mad at him for doing that and is like, I liked you. Like, why do you do that? Like, oh, you like stupid cheerleaders. I'm not like one of them. And he's like, I know. I'm stupid. Sorry. And they like kiss or something. I hated it. It didn't make any sense. Why would you literally risk your lives for cheerleaders?
You don't know what uh normal not normal. There's a lot of things hormonal guys will do
But the thing
for
is that Tobin didn't
girls.
even want to go. It was all because of the one friend. And I'm like, bro, it's 2 against 1 at this point. Like you're watching James Bond. Like, why? It's your house. Just say no. It's your car. Don't drive it.
I think it's a good story though, depicting giving into peer pressure and like doing things out of hormones and like not really thinking about things because I feel like I there's things that I'm like, why did I do that? Like because I was in this group of people in high school where sure we didn't go out in a snowstorm, but my God, did we do something similar to like that type of story? Absolutely. And like looking back now, or if like anyone from the outside was looking in, if you looked at my life and I told you the exact story of events that happened, you'd be like, why the frick would you do that? Like, why would you say yes to that even if you didn't want to? And it's like, well, I don't know why, but let me tell you, it happened and we did it. And it's basically like that story, only, different. But it'd be like that same thing where it's like, it's so stupid when you're looking at it, but in that moment, it's like, heck yeah, let's do it. It's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I think on top of it though, it's like this was John Green's story, and it was just like I didn't even think the writing was that good. I just thought it was just subpar for him. I was like, who are you? Do you have a ghostwriter write this? Because it was not good. Mm-mm.
I think it could have had something to do with the fact that it had to fit in with the other two storylines. And also, I'm assuming that he had maybe a more similar high school experience to me in some aspects where there was like just like really dumb decisions being made, And so maybe he wanted to include that in a movie, a book about people just aren't always making the best decisions that they should be making, especially when you're in high school and who knows, maybe the snowstorm made it worse. But I will say that I agree. I don't think it's John Green's best work. However, I don't think it's such like a dumpster fire that you do. Yeah, so the difference then being in the movie, instead of them going to the Waffle House for the cheerleaders, they're going for a party that Keon originally was going to throw a party at his house, and because his parents and family were supposed to be at someone else's house for Christmas, and I don't know why he wasn't supposed to be brought along, but he wasn't. And then the family comes back because the flight gets canceled, and he has like this keg and like these two deer that are going, they're doing the deed, and he blames Tobin. He's like, Tobin, I will not be drinking. I am underage or something. I guess he doesn't have a keg. The keg comes from those boys. What are their brothers' names?
The Reston brothers, because
I know.
actually the Duke, which they give her a stupider way that she gets the name in the movie, but she wanted to go to this party with this guy JP, and that's like
Yeah,
her
and
person.
JP's a college guy though.
Is
So they
he?
still have the high school college aspect happening, which I'm not saying doesn't happen because I had friends who were dating college guys in high school, but it was the 17 to, 19-year-old
Yeah.
thing. And at the time I was like, why is that wrong? And now I'm like, oh dear God, like, and
Right.
that
And like
shift from high school to college.
yeah, and like I had a boyfriend when I was in high school that was 2 grades ahead of me, but like it was like freshman and junior, then sophomore and senior, and then he graduated, and he never went to college though, so he was still like immature and like a stupid high schooler in his head. So, but I would not suggest that. Anyway, the not going to college part you can do whenever you want, and that doesn't mean you're immature. But he just was stupid and immature.
As are a lot of boys. But then, so yeah, the Duke in this movie wants to go to a party with this JP guy, and first of all, Tobin and the Duke go and play broomball with JP, and the Reston brothers are there, and they say that they have a keg and they're gonna have a party, but then Tobin and I guess the Duke and JP steal the keg and are gonna bring it to the Waffle House. And then the Reston brothers are chasing them, and then, like the one car slides off the road, the other car goes in the snowbank. It's like, and then the tinfoil lady, though, is the one who has to come to get the car out of the snowbank. But then when they're waiting for the tinfoil lady, Tobin and the Duke and JP go into this church, and Tobin and the Duke start singing a song, and then JP joins in, and then Tobin sees that like she's kind of like falling for this guy, and then he realizes he's getting jealous, and then I guess they do end up getting the keg to the Waffle House
Well, the Duke
at some point.
and what's his face get in like a fight first, the Tobin.
The Duke and Tobin, because Tobin like maybe isn't going along with the plans or something, and he doesn't want to say like, oh, it's because I like you. And the reason why she's named the Duke in the movie is because she said that she was always one of the guys, and Tobin felt like she deserved a better title or name than one of the guys, so he named her the Duke. And that's how she got the Duke in the movie. But yeah, Angie goes with JP to some party or something, and then Tobin is waiting for the tinfoil lady to pull him out. She gets him out, and then he goes and brings the keg to the Waffle House, and he gets there, and he's in this outfit that because at the church, the best Christmas pageant or like a Christmas pageant starts happening, which brings Stuart and Julie into the story because they're there with her mom. But then Tobin is dressed up as one of the wise men because someone saw him at the church, and they're like, are you one of the wise men? And he just like was like, yep. And their service was cool because it showed like all different religions and aspects of what was happening for Christmas, which I thought was interesting. But then he shows up to the party in this thing, and then he starts yelling at the Reston brothers because they're like, oh, you stole our keg. And then he's like, oh yeah, come find me, come find me. And they're like, yo, this dude's in a costume and he's like saying these things. Now he's a cool guy, or like, I don't remember what they said, but then they were just fine with the fact that he had taken the keg. The party starts to commence, but then he goes up on top of the Waffle House, and then Angie comes up there, and then they basically confess or the Duke, they confess their love for each other, and she's like, it's you, it's always been you, and blah, 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 blah. And then they start making out.
Well, and he was like giving a fine speech about like his love for her, and I was like, okay, this is cute. And then he's like, and I want to kill JP, and I was like, shut up, like, or he's like, I want to push him off the roof or something. I'm like, get over it. She chose you, bro. Like, stop. Who cares at this point? Like, get over yourself. I mean, that was like totally more realistic, but I was like, you're literally making this cute speech, and I was like, all right, you two can fall for each other. And then that happened. I was like, stupid.
So basically, Keon got his party, Dory got her cheerleader, Angie and Tobin get together, Stuart and Julie get together, Addie gives Dory a pig, Addie realizes she doesn't need Jeb in her life, the tinfoil lady teaches people some lessons, and like everyone kind of gets what they want.
Also, they kind of like imply that Addie and JP are like gonna be interested in each other. Like they like have this like moment or whatever. Also, there was something. Oh, they made Addie and Julie look way too similar to each other. Like the actresses look very similar to each other. At the beginning, when they were showing the different people, I could not tell them apart at first because they're
See, I
both
don't
just
think
like
so.
they were both just like small, petite women with like very like long, dark brown hair. And I just like at the beginning, I don't know who is who because like they're just quickly showing little snippets of each of these people's lives. I literally couldn't tell them apart.
See, I would disagree. Addie has longer hair, and to me, she looks like Mila Kunis. And then Julie has shorter hair, and she looks kind of like she's Latina, and she has like more brown eyes. And I think she's shorter. I don't know. I don't think they look very similar, but that's just me. Like both times I've watched this, I had to look up if Addie, the actress who plays Addie, was related to Mila Kunis, and she's not. But both times I'm like, she looks like she would be Mila Kunis's sister or something.
Almost identical. When they're like when they're throughout the story, it's better because you figure out who's who and you can like look at their faces and stuff. But I was like, someone wear a ponytail or something. Like, come on. So I can tell you apart.
I mean, they do have similar features, but no, I don't know. I would not agree with that. But overall, you say you like the movie better. Overall, I still think I like the book better. Something that's interesting is the book had 3 writers, which we already discussed, and the screenplay also had 3 writers, but none of the writers are the same.
That's so weird. I did not know that.
Yeah. It's also filmed in Canada. A lot of things are filmed in Canada, but I don't know. For me, that was usually I can tell if something's shot in Canada, which I mean, I know a lot of things are, but to me, it didn't look Canadian. Maybe they were.
Well, it was supposed to be in Illinois, so it like didn't matter that it didn't have to look like anywhere. Well, and the only other main difference from the book and the movie is that the tinfoil person is a woman in the movie, and it's like a crazy guy in the book. Like he doesn't, I think he toes one person finally, like in the book, but he just like sits at the Waffle House and people like are like, don't sit next to him. He's gonna talk to you and be weird. Like it's a lot more judgy, and it really isn't a lesson of like don't judge a book by its cover with like the tinfoil person in the book, but it is with the movie, and that's what I think is like they focused a lot on giving all of the characters like lives and reasons to be there, because if you think about it, like side characters don't know they're side characters, like they all live their own lives outside of this movie, outside of this book, outside of this TV show, and so you have to like make sure you give them personality or a reason to exist in the medium that you're creating. And I like that they did that in this movie. I do think that it caused them to spend a little less time on some of the people to like really develop like every beat of their story, but I think that it was worth it in so much that we got like actual storylines for some people that we didn't in the book.
I would agree with that. I like that statement.
Well, with that, I think I'll go through the social media, but I did have fun this month doing books versus movie/TV shows. I thought this was a very fun theme, and I got to read and watch some stuff I normally would not have for sure.
Yeah, and let us know if you like this theme. Is this a recurring theme you want? Like once a year? Do you want once a season? I mean, do you want us to read some books and watch the movies and then discuss the differences, or TV show series? Let us know. There's obviously lots of books that are movies and series. And maybe it'll get us out of our comfort zone.
Yeah, and if you missed our live, it was last week. You can find it on the Instagram, which is at youtalkingtome.podcast, and you can follow us there. Like I said, we have lives for our bonus podcasts. We have, sneak peeks to the months coming up, which you're about to find out what next month is. You have to go onto the Instagram to find out though. And you can email us at youtalkingtomepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at youtalkingtome11 because we're both number one. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos, comment. Let us know what you like or dislike. We need to know these things because we're doing it for you, people. I'm not just here to complain about Let It Snow to Hannah. Like, I'm here for you. So let us know what you like. Hit the notification bell so that you're notified every time that we release a video. And with that, I think it's it.
Yep.
Perfect. So I'm Rachel.
I'm Hannah.
And this was the You Talking to Me podcast.
Bye.